All right, so today we're going to walk through a website called Syncari, and I'm going to jump back to the homepage. So in previous teardowns, we've gotten into things like heavy into SEO and into a lot of different areas. We're just going to stick to how people enter the site and how they convert. So looking really more at conversion flow here of entering maybe on the homepage or entering through blogs, or what are really the top pages that are driving people to the site? And then how well does Syncari do in terms of taking that user from where they entered all the way to what ultimately is their goal here, getting a demo. All right, so let's kick it off. So we're starting here on the homepage. And as you enter, I really like this. Sometimes people put this demo button right up front. It's already in the top right for 95% of B2B SaaS companies out there. So having it right here is, I feel like using up real estate that for someone who's just been introduced to the brand, it's a little early to be asking for a demo. In particular, Syncari is about linking, it looks like pulling lots of data together and then drawing conclusions out of that data or being able to inform decisions made out of that data. All right. So because they're pulling data together, I really do like how they've done both of these, that they have what they integrate with, which is vitally important in for what their software does. It's like if you can't connect my software together, my tech stack, what use is Syncari to me, right? So right out of the gate, get people to where they need to go. And then if they're disqualified, then that's fine. And if they are qualified, then they can continue down that pathway. How it works is great. Again, it's understanding there's a million of these platforms out here, how they actually pull the data in, where it's housed, what they're doing with it, all important things to know. So I do like this how it works button. We'll come back to these, and we're just going to move down the page. Good. Again, this is pretty standard to have this bar here with some logos to just show some social proof. This section, they know their customers better than I ever will. Maybe this is the right layout. I actually like, if you go up into the solutions, I like how they've laid out the menu. And I think utilizing this in two sections on this page is a better way to do it. They're just problem statements or action statements. You want to do any of these things, right? I feel like that's better than this because I'm kind of guessing if these things fit what I'm trying to do as a customer or a potential customer. So again, I think this is probably okay. It's pretty aligned with what I'm suggesting of where to link to. I just think how we're pushing people along. They did a great job. It was what I call like signposts up here of like guiding people the right way. I think they had another opportunity to do it here, and they just need to clarify language a little bit more here. I do like, so I wasn't go crazy deep into SEO. I do like that they're using these eyebrows to guide people through or to be able to capture from an SEO standpoint. And I've just popped open this on the right side. The one thing that it could have done is made this an H2, right? Like this is the actual text we care about from an SEO standpoint. And like that's a great keyword, but it's in paragraph class. Like they should have made that the H2 and maybe this the H3, right? So I think they missed an opportunity there. And then these cards, they could probably do some stuff from a SEO standpoint as well. Good. This is a no-code data platform. Got a good keyword in there explaining exactly what you do for customer data automation. Then they're giving benefit statements throughout this. This is great. You can dive into these. This is fine. Coming right here. I always struggle with these. I think they look fantastic to people who know the platform. So when someone's sitting in that marketing room and they're laying this out and they're like, look, I've taken everything our platform does and I've simplified it and put it into an infographic here. Like this is a very like McKinsey slide type situation going on here. The problem is if someone doesn't know your platform, this is a lot to take in and to understand. I'm sure if someone were to walk through and explain it, that like then looking at this one infographic or visualization would make total sense and it would be brilliant. But the problem here is like, I feel like you need some items over here to click through that highlight parts of it. If you're going to do something this complex, like be able to highlight and walk someone through this model using the UX on this page. maybe if I did see it in action, just because of the product page, so maybe not. But yeah, I do think that these things can look great to someone who knows the product well, and they can be confusing to a new user. That may or may not be the case here, but in general, these things are much more appealing to like C-suite than they are to like C-suite of the company that created them, as opposed to someone who's just learning about the product. Coming down, again, more social proof. This is great. It's just a little slider here. Fine. And then get started. Okay, great. The footer looks fine. So let's jump in and look at some of these key pages. So we're going to start here with a couple of the blogs that are ranking pretty well that someone might enter in on the site, and then just take a look at like how well is Syncari doing at pushing people from those blogs deeper into the funnel, right? So blogs generally are going to be some top funnel content. How well are they doing pushing maybe to product pages or resource downloads or something like that? All right, so this first one is data enrichment companies. Yeah, this is pretty good. It's got a $24 cost per click, which usually means that it has value in terms of like generating like near-term revenue. 150 searches, that's pretty solid in the space. And then data enrichment companies, right? So it's what they do. All right, so we're going to come over here. A lot of companies are afraid to do what Syncari has done here, which is they're presenting potentially competitors in this article, and they're talking about the different tools, and they're just mentioning themselves within it. I'm always of the mindset that the conversation is going to happen whether you're in it or not. Better to be in it and control the message than it is to just not have an article at all, right? There's certain things you can do on your site, like putting it in the footer, making it slightly harder to find. But even then, I mean, if someone's doing the level of research digging through your site, then it's unlikely, particularly in this space where people are relatively sophisticated, that they're not going to do research before making a purchase. You might find some industries with like real small freelancers and things like that where they're not going to do a ton of research. They're just picking it. It's low risk to them. They're not like integrating it across their entire company, where it's you may not want to use these things. But in general, I think when you get into like B2B and get up to like enterprise level and even mid-market, these pages have a lot of value, because it's going to be really hard to rank your solutions and product pages for like data enrichment software and things like that. And if you can't rank for that because Google's only serving up these type pages, then you have to build a page like this. So what they do well on here is they've got guides over here on the right side. I think they do a good job laying out some related content. And then they go through and they just describe the software. It's very unbiased, I feel like. they did a really good job, and they talked about it in a way that's going to build trust with their user and have their user try and keep coming back, right? Like this is more of like a demand gen type play as opposed to just like chucking the top of the funnel and trying to do straight lead gen. You know, as I say that, I guess that really applies more to data automation, which is what they do. This seems to apply a bit more to what they can integrate with, right? And so I don't even think they mention themselves in this one. But again, this is another area where if you integrate with softwares, doing these best ofs for those integrations is a great approach, because if they're using that other software, then they're a prime target for you, particularly if they're using multiple of these, right? So they have like Cognism, Demand-Based, Clearbit, giving all the links in here. I usually like a pros cons in here. I think it's just a little bit easier for a user to digest. But plenty of links. They just do a good job in general, kind of laying all this out. It's a super long article. I think they maybe put too many in here, but I'm going to guess they did some SEO research, saw that it was all these, the length of the article. And honestly, they're ranking really well for it. I mean, for top data enrichment, I think they're a position 4, so they're close, right? I think they could do some things visually on this page to make it better. They might want to record, if we look at what the SERP contains, they've got a people also ask in here. And let's see, I don't see any imagery or videos, but video can potentially, there's an image pack down here. Video can potentially improve the performance on some of these pages and get you ranking in both the video pack and then also obviously the ranking for the main article. So the data automation tools, again, this is the one I was just referencing where they put themselves up against Zapier and Trey and Workato, and they are something else they've done well is they've built out their versus pages already. So as I go through here, you can see Syncari versus Zapier. Like that is a nice progression through the funnel, right? Is you're laying out the best ones and then you're just putting yourself head to head against these because it's just following that pathway of thinking through, all right, people are going to search this. I know they're going to compare us against competitors. Let's show them the top ones and then just show how we stack up against them, right? Because that's the next step that someone's going to travel down. It's like, all right, well, I kind of like these two the best. Let me see how they compare, right? And they've actually, when you look through their keywords, they've done kind of like all the iterations of these comparisons. Like they might be doing Zapier versus Trade.io and then Zapier versus Workato, right? So like all these kind of permutations, which gives them another chance if they weren't kind of in that top list of companies that are being evaluated, they're getting brought to their site and they might get brought in on the conversation kind of on the back end. It's like a number two option. So this is a good page. Again, I think they are doing a good job progressing someone through the funnel. I might make some of this like bigger, like the detailed guide to B2B customer data models, or if there's something, some other ultimate guides of some sort, like I think they had it at the top of this one. So I'm jumping around a little bit. Perhaps it was on another page. All right, so let's keep moving. Jumping over to, I like this. They talk all about Salesforce CDP. I'm guessing that Syncari has a lot of Salesforce plus other tech stack situations. And so if I'm a company like this, what I'm thinking of is, all right, we integrate software together. What is the one software that's in 60% of our deals, or the one software that is in the greatest percentage of our deals? We need to go in depth and talk about problems, challenges, how to use it, different things related to that other software. So they're talking about Salesforce CDP. Salesforce is giant. This is a great brand jacking approach. So if I go back here and look for CDP Salesforce, it's getting 600 searches. The difficulty is relatively low. They're at position 8. I think they potentially could move up further as long as it's not all Salesforce above them. So Salesforce. Yeah. So I think that they could get up to position 3 or 4, I guess, in this situation. You're not going to, Salesforce, Ben. Yeah, that's going to be a really tough one to outrank. Maybe 3. You're certainly not going to outrank Salesforce. So coming into this one, they're very in depth. I read through this article. It goes very in depth into what it is, all the integrations, the data prep. They just do a really good job of talking through from an educational standpoint, because the goal is a bit of a longer term play. It's like you're talking about Salesforce CDP and you're hoping that you're so useful that people will come back to your site, or when they do related searches for terms you also rank for, they see your URL and they're like, man, that was great information last time. I'm going to come back to the site, right? So this is like a longer term top funnel play. I wouldn't recommend doing this for like a brand new company because there's so much other content you need to build out. But this is a great play for a company who has a bit more of a mature content production pipeline going on, like Syncari does. So the next thing I think they can do here is, why don't we just look at what other pages are ranking. I believe they've got a deduplication software. All right, so position 5, nice keyword value here, or cost per click. And then position 5 right now, and they actually got a product page ranking here. Curiosity would have me want to look at, are all the things above them blogs? And no. So again, this is a great keyword to go after with a product page. You don't need to make it a blog. It's great that they did it here. Interesting. This is the first time I clicked on it. It actually is a blog. That's fascinating. It's top level. So it looks like it's a hub page. So data duplication software guide, they have the top 7 here. Okay, this is interesting. So out of curiosity, I'm going over here. I just want to see what these other ones are. So Trust Radius, I know what it is. It's a rating site. All right. And then SourceForge, I believe, is also a rating site. So that's this right here. Yep. So just like a G2 or Capterra or whatever. And then Data Ladder looks to be a product page. So we have like a really divided SERP here that we have review sites. We have an actual software site, a review site. This is a product page, and then this is essentially a blog, and then a blog, and then this looks like it's going to be a product page. So it's interesting. This is I would not have expected them to go after it with a blog. It's a safer play, to be honest, to go after it with a guide. I don't know that, where they're at right now, it might be worth going after it with a product page if they've flatlined out. So the first thing I would look at here is I'd look at how they've trended with this page over time. They put it out there in November and they've slowly trended. They were up number 1 there for a minute and now they've dropped down to 5. I would probably let this ride for a little longer and see if I couldn't improve the performance of this page with maybe some title tag testing, things like that. But yeah, it's a tough call on whether or not to push this over to a product page and create a product page and redirect this over and just maybe use an FAQ section to build it out. But ultimately, they've got some related content in here with tutorials and things like that. I do think that they could do a better job of having some sort of mid-funnel guide or download or like free like comparison tool. I think in this situation, it'd be good to have something like Typeform or using like a survey tool to allow them to build hey, we're going to advise you on what the best kind of solution to have here. So, hey, what's the best not data deduplication, because what do they call themselves? Whatever they call themselves, like walk through this and then we'll tell you what the best one to use is. And we'll kind of give you a criteria layout based on the answers you gave. And we'll say this is the best one for at a low cost and this is the one at a high cost, or this is the best one if you only need to sync these softwares together. So overall, Syncari doing a good job. Their demo page is, I don't know. These can work well if you have a really good drip. What it's basically doing is when you click it, you're getting your email address, and if you don't want to answer the stuff on the next page, at least they've captured that, and now they can drip you emails. Again, if you have a great drip sequence, awesome. I'm not a huge fan of the 2-step forms, but that doesn't mean they're wrong. Again, it would just be a testing thing. I would absolutely test this against where you're laying it all out on one page and trying to get a demo. I do think spelling out like what is a demo? Is this a live demo? Is this a like sandbox? Is this I'm going to get like a video and it's going to walk me through? I do like putting it in like what are the expectations here? Because this is a little vague and I'm not sure I would fill out this information as is. All right. So that covers Syncari. Again, I think they're doing a great job. I think there's a couple little things that they could fix, but overall, a really nice job by Syncari here.